Okay, is this working? Yes. Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So I'm really happy to be here. This is my third time giving this talk and my first time presenting at GoSec, so I really hope that you like it. I had really a lot of fun making this talk, so let's jump into it. So, who I am, my name is Patricia Gagnon-Renaud. I'm a cybersecurity analyst in the ethical hacking team at GoSecure, and I have a bachelor degree in IT engineering and my CISSP certification. So today what we're going to cover, first I will let you just know what this talk is not about, a little explainer, followed by a backstory on how I came to do what I do today, followed by a few step-by-step examples, and then an explainer on why should you care about all of what I'm showing you, followed by more example, with one example on OSINT in physical pen test, physical keys, and finish up with the lessons learned. Okay, so what this talk is not about, well, it's quite simple. It's not about those two things. It's not about metadata, and specifically not about geotagging metadata. So assume from now on, from this point on, from the running of the talk, that we do not have any metadata, and we're working with other techniques to find what we're looking for. So what if there's no metadata? What can you do? Well, let me tell you a little backstory. So back in 2008, I was supposed to do work with a classmate in Cégep, and we were supposed to meet up on MSN Messenger. I don't know if you remember that app we had used to have, but at the time we said, well, my friend didn't show up, so I was like, okay, can I find another way to contact him and get in touch with him? So at some point I started looking up at his Facebook profile, and I was going through his picture, and at some point I see one picture that I was taken in front of his house, and in the background of that picture I could see a sign of a gas station chain that we have here in Quebec. And from that I was like, I have an idea of where he lives. Like, I know which city he lives, and I have a rough idea of which neighborhood, so I started looking at Google Maps, and at some point I was able to find the correct gas station, because with the angle of the sign of the gas station itself, I was able to find the street where the photo was already taken from. And from there, the only thing I had left is to find the civic number of the house. And to do that, well, I jump into Google Street View and I look at the sign on this house to get the right civic number. And from there, I had this full address. So the last thing I had to do is to go on Canada 411 and do a reverse phone lookup to call his landline. And I did just that, and his dad answered and told me, well, my friend was sick, so that's why he didn't show up on MSN Messenger, and I was not able to get in touch with him. But from that point on, and over time, I started doing that more and more often, because I found it was super interesting, and I built up techniques and experience with this. And this is why today I will look for you, and I will find you just for fun. So let's jump into our first example, starting easy. So now I'm known amongst my friends to be the one who does this. So my friend just sent me picture on purpose to get me to find where it is. So I have one of my friends who sent me this one, telling me geolocate my mom. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I can probably do that. So if we look at the picture, at the very top, we can see like this bluish sky, which is very weird. And when I saw that at first, I was like, that makes me remember of the Caesar Mall at DEF CON, because I was there last year at Vegas. But it was like, there's no way her mom is in Vegas, right? Like, who goes there? So I was like, okay, well, I will focus on the next big thing that I see in the picture, which is this big statue. So if we crop the picture, and then we go on Google to do a reverse lookup for the picture, and we search for it. Well, I have two results to showcase this exact statue. So I was like, okay, well, let's look into it. And the first one, well, we can see the name of the statue. Okay, it's like, okay, great. And then the second link, we have someone who actually mentioned Vegas. So I was like, oh, maybe this is in Vegas after all. So I opened Google again and searched for those two things. So the name of the statue combined with Vegas. And the first result is from the Sphinx in the hotel chain that there is at Vegas. I was like, this is not what I'm looking for, but let's investigate anyway and see if that leads me somewhere. So I open Google Maps, search for the hotel, and then focus on the main lobby to start looking at what I can find. And if I jump into Google Street View again, well, there it is. There's a statue. So that one was pretty quick to do. So it took me less than 5 minutes to do all of those steps, getting the picture, upload it in Google, and then find the location. And what I learned from this example, well, is the first one is to look for landmarks. If you have something that is like generally recognizable that you can use, you can then try to use Google Lens to identify that thing, and then you can move on from that point on and try to locate the exact location. And the last one is to trust your instincts, because the first thing that I noticed when I saw the pictures, like it made me remember something that was like the mall in Vegas, like the weird sky. That was actually interior lighting, and from there, well, it was something that I should have investigated from the get-go, because again, that's something that I had in my memory. So, in summary, well, Google is your friend in this case. So, when you have Google Lens, it's fun, but what can you do when you don't have Google Lens? Well, back in May 2016, I had a friend on Facebook who shared this picture. And well, of course, when I saw this, I was like, oh, I recognize this. This is the Place Ville Marie we have in downtown Montreal. And there's also this tower, which is Le Mille de la Gauchetière. There's two buildings we have downtown Montreal. So clearly this picture is downtown. So I was like, can I find where this picture was taken? So I will open Google Map, and before I keep going, I will just set up Google Map in a way that I can work with. So if I open the layers, and then I select the satellite view, and then the globe view, and I will disable the labels, I will obtain a map that is a clean view of a clean satellite view that I can also play in 3D view, and you'll see what I mean by that. So if I bring back the picture on the side, I will identify the two buildings that I mentioned. So Place Marie is right in the middle, and we have Le Mille Gauchetière, which is here. So if we zoom in a bit, next I will rotate the map so to match like roughly the orientation of the picture. And then I will pivot into a 3D view and now try to match the exact perspective we can see on the picture. So again, we have our two towers here, so let's jump in, zoom in a bit. And then we're going to try to identify other buildings that we can see on the picture. So on the left, we have this one, which is here. And then in the center, we have this one. And you can see we have another tower right in front of Place Ville Marie, and it's located right here. So now I'm already starting to have a rough idea of like where the picture was taken from. And I can, again, zoom in and work from there. So in the foreground, we can see like three other buildings. We have this one on the left, and then this one right in the middle. And if you can see closely, we have like a strip of a building on the side here. So it's located right here. So again, if we zoom in, and now what I will do is focus on the very foreground. We can see a rooftop, so I'm going to try to identify what we can see. So we have a structure here, which is located right there. Then we have some HVAC equipment. It's like on the roof here, and then something else in the middle here. So again, the picture was clearly taken from the side of this building. So now I have like a good idea where it is. So I will just rotate and then again identify those three things. So the picture must be taken from the side of this building. So it has to come specifically from one of those two windows here. And that's what I shared back as a reply and comment on Facebook on my friend. I sent like this picture. We can notice the very old school Google Chrome layout. And then the second picture as a proof of where I did find this location. Please don't do this. This is doxing. You shouldn't be doing this. I did that back then. Didn't know any better, but like, yeah, please don't do this. Like sharing back the location of someone in person, like it's on public profile, like on Facebook, it's not a great thing. So if we recap this example, originally it took me around 15 minutes. I didn't have the techniques and skills that I have today, because if I would do this again, it would take me around 5 minutes to do. And what I learned from this example, well, is your memory can be useful. Again, the first thing that I noticed is like two buildings that I knew from downtown Montreal, so that it was a good starting point for me. And then is to use Google Map in satellite globe view, because again, I see the picture and I can use the perspective to try to match the picture that I have, and from that way it's easier to work with. So in summary, well, Google is still your friend in this case. So why should you care about all of this? Well, I have three reasons why you should care about what I'm showing you today, and what you should be worried about, and maybe try to watch out on your behavior online. So the first one I just mentioned is doxing. Like I mentioned in my previous example in 2016, like what I did was doxing, and you shouldn't be doing that. You have a few examples of streamers on the side that are victim of doxing, people publishing their address, and then it can enable the second thing that I want to mention, which is stalking. If I'm someone who is obsessing over you and I can find a picture thing around your house and then from that guess your home address, then that can enable the stalking behavior and enable someone to go and stalk you. But again, you're going to say to me, well, I'm no one, I'm nobody, no one knows me, no one is interested in me, why should I be worrying about all of this? Well, you should be worried about the third and last reason, which is identity theft. If I have your full name and I have your full address, and then using your Facebook profile, LinkedIn profile, I can guess your date of birth, then I'm starting to have the details that I need to, let's say, try to emit a credit card in your name and then commit fraud. So those are reasons that you should be worrying about protecting your full address, protecting your date of birth, and try to minimize what's online about you on the internet. So I've shown you example of private locations, more personal example, but let's jump into more business kind of example with this third example of when it matters sort of, and you see why. So back into January of this year, Linus from Linus Tech Tips published a video where he shared that he recently purchased a new building for a new project to build a badminton center from. And I was watching the video, and at some point I noticed that across the street, we could see a big numbers written on the side of the building, which is probably the civic number of this building. It's a bit far, we cannot see, but later in the video, we can actually now see it. So the digits are 9688. And back then, when this video was published, the address and the project itself was very new. We didn't know the location, it was not public. Now all of this is public, they're gonna open real soon, actually. But I was discussing about this video with one of my friends and was like, can we find where this building is? Like, I want to know more about this. I was really curious about this. And before I jumped into the search, the first thing that I did is like, has someone already done this? Like, I searched on Google, like a question like, is someone already found the location of this building? And I was fortunate enough to find a Reddit thread with someone who asked this exact question. And fortunately enough, Linus himself answered in the comments saying it's in Port Kells. So what is Port Kells? So if I go into Google Maps and I search for this, well, it's a city in the suburb of Vancouver. So, okay, can I work from here and try to find the location of the building? So what I could do is like, okay, well, let's look at this, like there's a big industrial area, and maybe I could like try to figure out a similar address and then figure out the numbering system of all the street going east to west, and then look at every single street until I find something that might be what I'm looking for, jump into Street View, and then there it is. That's what I did back into January. But that takes time, like it's time consuming. Like it took me like a long trial and error in looking at every street. I have a way better technique of what you can do right now, today, that will vastly reduce the time that it takes to do that. So if I go back into my original search for Port Kells, and I look at the postal code for the city, and I search that back in Google Maps, I obtain like this area, which is definitely not where the badminton center is. But now if I search for the first character of the postal code, and I search that back, then I'd obtain this really big area, which the badminton center is probably located in. So now if I grab this partial address, this partial postal code, and I combine this with the 4-digit that I mentioned earlier, and I go to the Post Canada website on the Address Complete feature section. Address Complete is a feature that is meant to be embedded on e-commerce website or other website where the customer can autocomplete its own address. But there has a demo on their website, so if I just type in the 4-digit and then the partial postal code, if I look at the result, well, the second one is the building across the street. So just by doing that, well, I did find the correct location and the correct building that I was looking for, and that it was really, really much faster to do. So I can prove that it's the right building. Normally, I would stop here. I found what I was looking for, so I was happy with this. But no, I was actually more curious, like, what more can I find about this? So if we jump, there was a pin on Google Maps, so we have an address here, an URL. So if we visit this website, we stumble onto the website of the promoter who built this new building. And from this website, I was able to actually find the website of the project itself, so Port Kells West. And on the website, all the units seems to be sold at that point, so there was no like document advertising or listing the specs of the building. But if we have another tool that we can use, we have a Wayback Machine that we can use that tool, we can actually see the website in previous version, and from that I was able to find links for documents that were hosted on the website that were still live. It was still there, not just linked on the website, but I was able to uncover the links. And from there, I was able to find the kind of documents I was looking for. So here we have the site plan of this project with the 3 buildings and all the units in each building. And from the badminton center, again, that's the thing I was looking for, is those 2 units, so unit 101 and 102 of building B. So okay, now I have a rough idea of the size of what they purchased. But now in another document, I was actually able to find the price per square foot for unit 101 of building B. So now we can do quick maths to just try to figure out like the rough size of those 2 units, and then we can multiply that by the square footing, the price per square foot, and then we get a rough price of around $24 million that they probably paid for this building. Again, they purchased 2, maybe they made a deal, we don't know exactly, but that was the retail value of those 2 units. So again, it was kind of interesting to see that I was able to find this information just by looking for it, and it was, again, available online. So in this third example, what I learned? Well, it took me originally 15 minutes, again, because I was looking manually to every street until I was able to find what I was looking for. But using the address complete method, only 5 minutes to do it, so it was very quick, very efficient. So what I learned from this is to, again, look for text, number, or any kind of writing. And if you are fortunate enough to see a civic number, you can use that combined with a partial postal code, a city name or something on address complete, and you probably find results that are interesting. If you don't find exactly what you're looking for, you're gonna find something similar that can help you guide you in the right way. So in summary, well, if you work smart, you're patient, you're gonna have a really interesting result. But wait, there's more actually about the badminton center. In a more recent video, they shared an actual floor plan of the building and what they are planning to do with it. Unfortunately, if we zoom, it's kind of blurry. You cannot make out exactly the text. Well, it's way worse on this. Again, this is YouTube. You can try to change the resolution of the video. So that was in 1080. If you go into 4K, and then we download the video offline, now I have a map that I can actually read. Like if I zoom in, I'm able to make out all the text on the floor plan. And it's not just a floor plan, it's a technical floor plan. We can see the layout of all the equipment and everything they want to install in this building. I can actually remove the marker because in the video it's moved. If I select 2 frames and stitch them together, now I have a clean map. It's just the writing at the top that I cannot remove. But from here now, I can see what's interesting in here. Well, I can find the location of every single camera they want to install in and out of the building. And also, I can see the location of every single access card reader they're gonna install on every door in and out of the building itself. So this is for a badminton center, so maybe it's not something to worry about. But if that was a more sensitive building, like that's something that I would like to see when I do physical pen tests, but not something you would want to be online if you own this place. So again, this quick example took me 2 minutes to download video, extract the frame, and 30 minutes to place the circle on the PowerPoint slide. And well, I learned from this, well, 4K is better than 1080. And that I really like floor plans. We can find a lot of information looking at those. So if you're curious, you're gonna find stuff. It's always fun to see. So I want to jump into my new example. So when it actually matters, I want to show what is the kind of OSINT I would do normally for in a physical pen test. So what is the thing that I would look for and prepare to do a physical intrusion as part of my work. So as an example, I will take GoSec, which is my employer, as the targeted client of what I would do in general OSINT. So the first thing I would do is to Google the company that I would be investigating, and then look at their official website, which is normally the first result that will come up. Open the website, jump straight to the footer, and then look for the social media links of this company. So in this case, we have Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So I will open all the links. Twitter's being Twitter, we now have to log in. It's not something I will find interesting normally here, but I want to mention on either Twitter or Facebook, what I would normally look for is for pictures of either pictures that was taken inside the location that I'm looking for that will kind of guide me of like either the layout, how it is, the kind of access card reader they're using, if I can be quite lucky with the picture I can find. Or I will try to look for pictures of employees and look for badges. If I can see the badge of an employee, so that will either tell me the kind of technology they're using, or they will tell me if they're using custom card with like either picture and or name on it, will give me the layout that I may try to replicate when I do a physical intrusion to have something that looks like what they're wearing. Again, we have YouTube. What I just mentioned, I could try to find into videos. In this case, is promotional material, so it was not what I was looking for. And lastly, LinkedIn. So again, LinkedIn can have posts with pictures that I just mentioned. But what I'm more interested in when I go on LinkedIn is to look for the employees. So if I click on that link, I will open this page with allow me to search through the employees that claim to be working at this company. I want to quickly mention that I'm currently logged in as my personal account. You have to be logged in to use this feature. But normally what I would do is use a fake account on LinkedIn, so that way people who have a premium on LinkedIn are not be able to see that someone working in cybersecurity is looking through their profile, which could be alarming to them. So what I would, the first thing that I see, well, I have around 200 people who claim to be working at that company. But if I go through the location and specify exactly the location that I will be trying to do the intrusion in this case will be, my target will be Montreal, then I can filter the result to around 50 people. So from here, what I would do is go through the result and try to see what I can learn. The kind of things I would go through is trying to see what kind of people who are working there. Is there engineering? Is there HR? Is there customer service? Is there IT teams? So going through the kind of personnel that work at this location so I know what to expect when I go there. The other thing that LinkedIn are now allowing you to do is to specify if you're working in person, remotely, or in a hybrid fashion. So I can go through the employees, and for those who have filled that field, I can see, okay, can I expect many people in the office? If the office will be mostly vacant, try to extract information like this. And lastly, what I would do is try to select a key name of a key personnel that I can try to remind and I can use as an excuse to be there. So let's say if I go and try to do an intrusion in the Montreal office and this company has a branch, let's say, in Ottawa, well, I can maybe select the name of someone, key someone who works in Ottawa as the reason I'm here in the Montreal office. So I can say, oh yeah, it's Nancy from the IT team in Ottawa, send me here to do maintenance on equipment or something like that. So again, that gives me a rough idea of what I can see and what I can look for and expect when I do the actual intrusion. So that was the part that I do on social media itself, but now let's focus on the location itself of what I'm looking for. So again, we have this quick preview on Google we have about the company. I can go into Google Map and see the address of the office itself. And that's where I would normally go and enter the address and see the result of what I'm looking for. Unfortunately, we just recently moved, GoSec just moved office, and I was not able to find the kind of information that I would like to see when I do the reconnaissance phase. And again, it's not guaranteed I will find something, but maybe I will find something. And I want to show you something that will be more interesting to you of what it, for me, like the gold result that I would want to see and what try to find. So we'll just switch to another building we have in Montreal, another office building. So let's use an example, the 1001 Robert Bourassa Boulevard we have in Montreal, so which is another office building we have. And again, if I jump into Google Map, just a quick side note, Google Map generates a directory which gives you a listing of every company who claims to have a business address at this location. So again, that could be useful information to see what kind of other businesses have offices at this space and if we can find interesting stuff there. Furthermore, so if I go back into the result, what I would normally do when I want to actually find an interesting result is instead of using the full address, we'll just take the street address, so the civic number with the street, and search that back into Google. And then I will look into the result, and what I will look for is a website by either the landlord or realtors that are leasing space in this building. So what I would do, like all of them, all of this are results I would be looking for. So I will open all of them in different tabs and then go through them one by one. And what I would look for is for documents. Documents either brochure, technical information about like the square footing of the space, or floor plans if we can find some. So opening this link, I have like a very markety document that like try to sell the building. But if I go through the pages, I stumble into this page, which give me a very detailed floor plan for the 6th floor. So that may or may not be the floor that I was looking for, so I will try to find other things, but again, that's the kind of thing that I would want to see. And I will explain a little bit later why. In another website, I was able to, again, look for documents and find this one. So again, very markety vibe document. Like they just renovated the hall, so like, okay, great, looks good, but not something other than what to expect when to be there, well, how it looks like, but not something that's very useful. Later on the document, okay, now I start to get something more interesting. So we have here all the available office space that are vacant for now in this building. And later in the document, I can find something that is way more interesting to me, which looks like the floor plate, which would be the floor with no division at all, just the core feature of the building. If I look closely, there's actually an example of layouts that they suggested in this one, so it's not exactly what I want. But if I go back and look at this one instead, if we look in this, we have color-coded of how they want to suggest the use of the space. But if you look in gray, everything that is in gray in this picture is part of the core feature of the building. So it will be the same on every single floor of this building. So if I go back and I remove everything that is extra, that leaves me with what I call the floor plate. So the floor plate is the copy of what you're going to see on every floor with the basic feature of the building. So from here, I can now start to enumerate what I can see on this. So first we have the core. So this is the central part of the building, again, where all the mechanical equipment are going to go through on every floor. And in the core, well, we have the restroom. For men and ladies, we have the 2 elevator banks. So this building is pretty tall. It has one bank elevator that goes for the first half of the building and the other one for the upper half. Later we can notice also there's a service elevator in here. And then there's a staircase that goes in the middle. But there's also 2 other staircases on every corner of the building. That also could be an entry point. And there's the 4th one, but this one might not be on every floor. It might be a suggestion to make floor communicate with each other for companies who have more than one floor. So we'll just ignore this one. So from here, well, I have a good idea of what to expect when I want to actually walk in the space and do the in-person reconnaissance before I actually attempt to do the intrusion. So let's say what I would normally do is like, okay, when I reach this building in person, I will look in the lobby and see how the floor are divided between the 2 elevator banks, so I will know from which elevator bank I will be exiting when reaching the floor that I'm targeting. Then I will normally aim for the restroom, because when I exit the elevator, if I look like I know where I'm going and I aim for the restroom, it's something easy to do. While I'm walking there looking determined, I can do a quick scan and see how the floor is divided and how the corridors are made. And from here, well, then I can try to plan my exit route, so either to the elevator banks or from the staircase that I mentioned earlier. So from here, that would normally end the part of the actual reconnaissance I would do for a location. And from the next step would be to go in person and do the last part of reconnaissance in person and see, okay, where is the actual door of the office that I'm targeting? Is there other tenant on the floor and other information like that? So if I recap this example, well, the OSINT phase for a physical pen test can take from 1 hour in that case, but could be way longer depending if there's multiple location, if they have actual physical building and there's just a space in the office tower. So it could vary greatly. And what I learned from this, well, 3 things. The first one is to go through the website of the company and their social media account and to look for information and photo that I can extract information. As I mentioned, either picture taken inside of their office or of employees to look for badge. A special case on LinkedIn, again, they just go through the employees and try to build directories and give ourselves an idea of what to expect at the location itself. And then you try to memorize names that could be useful during the intrusion. And lastly is to try to find website from the landlord owner or realtors that are advertising for space available for lease and look for floor plans that I can use to plan and prepare for the intrusion itself. So in summary, and that's the point I want to focus on, it's all on the internet. Everything that I've shown you today in this example is freely and readily available online. I didn't have to ask for it. I didn't have to pay for it. It was all there. I just have to look for it, and then I was able to build like this really interesting and detailed picture of the place I would be trying to intrude as part of the engagement. So let's jump into this fifth and last example. So when it really matters. So back into December of last year, I was looking the news. I was at home, and at some point I was watching this news report, and I saw something that caught my attention, and I want to show it to you.
José Nadeau ouvre son commerce avec la même inquiétude tous les matins. À quoi va ressembler la circulation sur les ponts de l'ouest de l'île de Montréal?
So I don't know if you saw what I saw when I was watching news, and even myself was not sure if I saw what I just saw. I was like, wait, did I just see that? So I went back to listen to the news report, and I would just replay back the part of the clip that I found interesting. We can see the key, right? I mean, it's blurry, but maybe we can try to decode the key. I did just that at NorthSec of 2019. One of the challenges at the CDF was to take a picture of a key that was under a glass dome and try to decode the key and make a copy of the key by using key blanks. And we have a file and caliper, so just by manually replicating the key. So, I mean, that's a risk. It was a long shot, but I want to let know the store owner that this was a risk. So I wrote an email to the store owner telling them, hey, we saw something while watching the news. You might be concerned with this. Can we get in touch? And we did manage to set up a meeting with the store owner. My boss, the store owner, and our IT guy. And in the meeting, well, we exposed like what we do for work and what we saw on the news, that we're quite concerned about that, and maybe someone could try to make a copy of the key and access their store. And at the very end of the meeting, we did ask them, hey, can we try to make a copy of the key and try in person, go to your store and try to see if the key would work and try to actually see if this is an actual risk or not. And the store owner agreed to let us try. So after that, well, I looked at a few frames of the video, tried to see if I was able to decode the key. Then I talked again to my boss to see, okay, can we agree on the key that we want to copy? Again, it was very blurry. So in the end, what we agreed with is to make 6 different keys that were kind of like each other, but with slight variation. And from here, well, my boss again told me, well, I have a locksmith, so I will go to my locksmith and ask my locksmith to do the keys instead of, filing them by hand. It takes time, so let's just speed the things up and get keys are more precise anyway. But my boss came back to me and told me, well, my locksmith didn't agree to do this because it's quite suspicious to make copies of keys that are quite similar to each other. So what I did actually, I say, okay, I will go to a locksmith. Can you send me an email with the request of actually making the keys? So my boss did, and what I did, I print out the email and I went and I walked into my locksmith and I was like, hey, I have copies of keys to do. So I take out the email written on paper, give them to the employee, which give them to another employee and then to the manager. And then the manager came back with the paper and was like, yeah, okay, sure, we can do this. And while the employees are working on making the keys, the manager come back to me and says, well, if you have other requests like this one, can you please come back on a Thursday, on a Friday? And it was a Friday. Because the other guy who was there the other day wouldn't want to do this because, this is kind of suspicious. Like, it could be used to steal something. And I was like, I was trying my best to keep my poker face at that time, but in the end, I was able to get out of the locksmith store with the 6 keys that I want to try. And the last thing we had to do is to set up a meeting with the store owner and try the keys in person. And it didn't work. I was pretty bummed about this. I went all this way, all this opportunity to prove that this was a risk, and in the end, it didn't work. And I was really, really sad about that. So I came back at my place, give it a day, and then try to think of something else. So the next day, I was like, I cannot leave this like this. I have to find something I can actually succeed with that, because like I kind of want to leave this like that. And I knew from the start that I wanted to contact the journalist who made the original report to also let him know that this was an actual risk. So I wrote an email to the journalist who did the report, and in the email I asked the journalist, like I'm telling him I'm preparing this talk, I want to show this, and could you please send me the original footage that you used to make the news report? The one you have on your website is fairly low resolution, and I want to include the higher resolution version. I never said that I wanted to try to make a new key again. I just said that I want to have the video. But to my surprise, the journalist replied, and we talked on the phone. And on the phone, he did tell me, yeah, sure, I can send you the video. And can you look if you can actually make a copy of the key this time? I was like, yeah, sure, send me what you have and I'm going to look at it. So this is what he sent me. So I don't know if you can see, but we can see the key now. It's clear. It's no blurry, no nothing. I can plug it into my tools, decode the key, then I have the bidding code. And look at this. The bidding code now is 65414. If we look previously, I had 65413. I was one off of getting the right key. So this key was like super close of being the right one. So I called back the journalist telling me, hey, I'm sure I have it now. Like it has to be this one. So the journalist told me like, okay, yeah, sure. Let's set up that with the store owner. I want to make a report of this. Are you okay with this? I was like, yeah, sure. Let's do this. So then the very first thing that I did after that is like, I took the email from my boss, modified it, just included the new number, went back to the locksmith, make a new key. Got off with this one. And then, well, the last thing we had to do is to go try it in person. So let me set up the stage. I'm right here in the front of the store. The owner is right there by the door. She just locked the door in front of me, so the door is locked. I have the TV crew recording me live doing this. So let's see what happened. And it works. Look at the store owner face, like her face. She could not believe her eyes of what just happened. She told me afterward that she was pretty sure it wouldn't work. And I told her, well, that's funny because I was pretty sure it would work. So we had an interesting conversation, and again, like I'm super grateful for this very interesting and super experience that I had with her, the journalist, and everything. And since then, the news report actually came out. I was part of this news report about like the risk of exposing online your keys. That happened like around the 1st of July when we renew our lease here. So it was a right time to talk about this because that's something that people do. Like they post online picture of like themselves holding the keys. Like, hey, I got this new place, but like you just said where you are and then you're showing how to get in. So like, don't do this. So yeah, so if I recap this one, it took me around 5 minutes to decode the key. So it's pretty quick to do. And what I look for, I learned for, is to look out for visible keys. If you have keys visible, again, as a pen tester, if I can find that, like employees with keys on their belt or around the lanyard on their neck, like that can be useful and something I could use when doing physical pen test. You're gonna have a low success rate with videos, especially if there's motion, but you're gonna have a high success rate if you have still frames or pictures that are clear, detail, and not moving. And the last thing I learned, well, is even if it's a long shot, if you want to try something, if you want to do something, ask for it. If I never contacted the store owner, if I never contacted the journalist, none of this story would have happened. Like it's just because I tried to do this and people agree along the way and I was able to come all this way and to show this to you. It would never have happened if I didn't ask for it in the first place. So in summary, what I want you to remember is that keys are personal data. They're like password. Do not share them. Do not post pictures of them. Keep that to yourself. So it's the time to wrap up this talk. So I've shown you a lot of things today, a lot of example techniques and everything. But if there's something that I want you to remember is to please, please, please do not share. Be mindful of what you share online. Do not share pictures of your keys. Do not share pictures that you've taken around your home. Keep your your full address private, and keep your date of birth private. That's all private information that you keep for yourself that could be used to do identity theft or the other things that I mentioned. And also a quick note, if you share pictures online, be mindful of the metadata that I didn't talk about really much, but if you use cloud storage, emails, attachment, or you host them on your website, the metadata is not stripped, it's still there, so if you have geotagging on them, people can extract that, so please incorporate that in your pipeline to remove the metadata before uploading those pictures. So let's wrap up with the tools, sources, and special thanks. I've used a lot of tools during this talk and also a lot that I didn't use. So I have links here. I have more links later. If you want to access those links, I have one link with everything on my GitHub that you could use. I have the sources, again, Wikipedia of all the concepts that I mentioned. And the most important part is the YouTube links for the 2 Linus video. The original news report, the new one, which I'm in it's also on YouTube. And a book and a thing about Post Canada I didn't mention. So my links. The QR code goes to my LinkedIn profile. And on GitHub, you're going to find all the links that I mentioned in this talk. So all the tools, sources, and everything. And if you prefer email, you can reach out to me in email instead of DM on LinkedIn. I can still see people taking pictures, so we'll just wait a bit in here. And I'm going to just quickly start talking about my next slide, which is my special thanks. So I want to thank my close friends who are indulging like this creepy habit that I have to always trying to find where they taking picture from. I want to thank the store owner, José Nadeau, of the store Sous les Oliviers, who accept to let me make a copy of their front door key twice. I want to thank Mathieu Prost from Radio-Canada, the journalist, who have been collaborating with the news report. I want to thank Andréane Bergeron from GoSec and Olivier Bilodeau, who helped me set up the first talk that I did, like coach me through the submission process. I want to thank Laurent Desaulniers, who helped me to polish the talk and for his mentorship. And finally, my boss, Maxime Nadeau, without whom I wouldn't be here today giving you this talk. So thank you very much. Do we have questions? We do have a little bit of time. Mike is coming up.
I was just concerned when you put the QR code if it was a question attack. So I didn't do it because I thought you were going to send us to some crazy link.
It was a straight link to LinkedIn. There was no URL shortener. So, but yeah. Second question.
Are you a GeoGuessr player?
So I've been asked this question multiple times, and I did try a bit, but in the end I didn't stick because most of the geoguessing part of the game is like in rural area, and you end up being expert of like identifying the phone that is, I don't know how to say that, phony flower, how do you say that in English? Fauna, the fauna there, and like the kind of trees of the color of the dirt and stuff like that. I like the urban part of it. Like if I have picture in cities, that's the part that I really like. But yeah, GeoGuessr is more oriented and the fauna is more present in what you can find. So I didn't really jump into it, but it's still something that I do from time to time. Any other question? So if there's no other question, well, I'm still available if you have questions for me, if you want to ask me things. Thank you very much again, and I hope you enjoy the talk.